Perfect. I'm Shayna, the outreach coordinator for Bene. Most of my work centers on our annual Campaign Nonviolence Action Days, which span from International Peace Day on September 21st to the International Day of Nonviolence, October 2nd. For those of you who are new, Campaign Nonviolence is a project of Bene that's been running for 12 years. And every year, thousands of people across the country and around the world organize actions and events to address war, poverty, racism, and environmental destruction. And each year, we also lift up specific calls to action. Well, this year, our theme is nonviolence towards self, others, the world, and the environment. And today's training is rooting in the call for nonviolence towards self. Self-care keeps you going. And it's co-hosted by our Action Days partner organization, World Wellness Weekend. And so the purpose of this training is to explore how caring for ourselves can be a powerful, transformative act of resistance. It's designed for those of us who want to sustain our activism without sacrificing our well-being, who are looking for practical self-care tools to support our physical, mental, and emotional health, and who are ready to deepen and peacefully have a peaceful presence about them. In this session, you'll hear from two of our incredible leaders with World Wellness Weekend founder Jean-Guy de Gabriac and Ambassador for Global Projects, Julie Wren. They'll share how daily self-rituals rooted in 5 pillars of wellness can help us stay grounded, energized, and resilient in the face of burnout and stress. We are grateful to have them lead this training. Also, to learn more about Campaign Nonviolence and to sign up, please feel free to visit the link I am sharing in the chat right now and save it somewhere so you will have it for later on down the line. And now to further introduce our amazing trainers. First, we're joined by Jean-Guy de Gabriac, CEO of Tip Touch International and founder of World Wellness Weekend, a global movement that inspires millions across 160 plus countries to engage in accessible, purpose-driven wellness activities that support personal and collective well-being. Named Wellness Personality of the Year and Wellness Influencer of the Year, Jean-Guy brings decades of experience promoting wellness as a powerful force for transformation. We're also joined by Julie Wren, a wellness consultant, health coach, and ambassador for World Wellness Weekend. With over 30 years of experience, Julie helps individuals and organizations build practical, holistic wellness strategies that support both personal resilience and workplace well-being, especially in high-stress environments. Jean-Guy and Julie, you now have the mic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Shayna. Julie, would you like to start sharing your screen and leading us into
I will indeed.
Another state.
So hopefully everybody can see my screen. If you just give me a thumbs up for those who can see. Yes, is that good? All right. So what I'd love to do for everybody is to really get us in a resourceful state so that we can start our session together with open minds and open hearts. So let me just start this. Why will that not start? Okay. I think it might take a little time to load at the moment, so if you just give it a little minute. Oh, okay, so it jumped ahead, right. It's always the way, isn't it, with technology.
Technology is such a beautiful thing when it works.
It works 1 minute, and now it doesn't want to work at all. All right. So, what to do here, everybody?
Can you try to click again on the first slide?
I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to try again because it worked about 2 minutes ago, did it not?
It did.
It did.
It did indeed. Let me go back and work out why this is not working.
Yeah, I think a refresh will do it.
Yeah. All right. Sometimes it happens when you've put something in like music, it thinks it's not, you're not allowed to share sometimes these things. But anyway, I can always talk you through it. It's not a problem. 1 moment. This will find it back again. So Jean-Guy, perhaps in the meantime, you might like to just say a few words while I'm trying to fix this.
Absolutely. Before speaking about World Wellness Weekend and what we would like to share with you about your wellness, I will never forget the fact that Pace Bene was created by Franciscan monks at the beginning, and I went through an upbringing at school in Monaco with Franciscan monks. I was really touched by their kindness, by their open-mindedness, by their hearts, not just the rigorist Christian upbringing, but more a connection with nature, a connection with others, and a connection with self. One thing that I can say from the words of Saint Francis Assisi, and this has led my entire life as as a consultant and trainer in guest experience for hospitality, and now as the founder of Wellness Weekend, is that you can work with your hands and you can be a wonderful worker and you can create things. You can also work with your hands and with your head, and then you can become an artisan. You can think of things. You can think of objects you want to bring into life, things you want to breathe life in. But when you start working with your hands, with your head, and with your heart, then you can become artist and you can maybe touch the heart of someone else and change the world. With this, I will let Julie
Thank
lead
you
you
so
into a
much.
moment of self-reflection.
Okay. So yes, everybody, I'd love to take this moment, as I say, just to check in with ourselves and to also offer you a moment that you can practice at any time, perhaps when you wake up in the morning, and it's just called a body scan. So if you'd like to get yourself nice and comfortable and place your feet firmly on the ground, just take a moment just to connect with yourself, lay your hands in your lap, relax into your chair, and we'll start. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to just breathe in and breathe out very slowly. Maybe take a sigh. Take a breath now in, pushing your belly out. And again, exhale. On your next breath, pull that breath right the way down into your toes. Give your toes a little wiggle. If you're wearing shoes, maybe you want to kick them off. Stretching your toes out all the way down to the floor. Then bring your awareness back up into your ankles. And now breathe into the ankle area. How do they feel? Have you been out for a walk today? You've just woken up. Take a moment to make some rotations of those ankles. How do they feel? Do they feel stiff? Breathing in, breathing out. Bring your awareness now up to the back of your calf muscles, to your knees. Breathing in to the knee area. And as you breathe out, take your legs and stretch them all the way in front of you. And if you can, point your toes and rotate your ankles at the same time. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and bring your awareness now to the backs of your thighs and to the surface that you're sitting on. Breathing in, breathing out. On your next breath, breathe in and squeeze your buttocks, lifting yourself up, high up from your chair, with your legs coming out if you can towards you, holding it in. And as you breathe out, let it all go and sink back down into your chair. Breathing in, breathing out. With your next breath, breathe into your lower back and lift up your body and pulling up through your spine, noticing how the lower back feels as you pull yourself upwards as if there was a string attached to your head. Breathing in, pull the string, breathing out, let yourself go. Now bring your awareness into your chest area. Expand your chest as you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, try to squeeze all the air out of your lungs. Breathing out. Breathing out negativity. Take a nice deep breath in and breathe in positivity. Bringing your awareness up to your throat chakra. Just rest there for a few moments. If you've just woken up and you haven't spoken words yet, maybe there's a word there that's waiting to come out. If you're at the end of your day, what is a word that best describes your day? Breathing in, breathing out. Now breathe in and bring your awareness into your third eye. And just spend some time there for a few moments, observing what colors are run through your eyes. Breathing in, breathing out. And let's just take one more very deep breath in and bring it to the top of our head, to our crown chakra. As we just stay there for a moment, watching our thoughts as they pass through our minds, not forcing them, not choosing them, just letting them be. Breathing in, breathing out. Now just take a little time just to think about your own wellness. Is there something about your health you've been tolerating? Something that you'd like to change? Breathing in, breathing out. Now imagine yourself in 3 months' time. The big day is there. How do you want to feel? How do you want to show up? What needs to change so you can show up as the best version of yourself? Breathing in, breathing out. Just take a few moments just to be with those thoughts, see how they land. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and come back. How was that for you? Hopefully, you feel a sense of peace and calm. Chat if you have anything you'd like to share, anything that came up. Was there a word that came up you want to start your day with or end your day with, if that's where you are in the time zone? And what I'd like to do now is take you through perhaps a little exercise that will help you really nail on the way perhaps you're feeling right now, because sometimes we don't allow ourselves that moment of calm just to check in with ourselves in our busy lives. So doing that little body scan, even if you just do it for one of your body parts, can really help. But I also have something else for you that I'd like to share. And if you have a pen and paper with you, just take a moment to jot down your answers to these statements. And this will give you a sort of an indication, perhaps, of where you're feeling and what kind of areas you might want to look at and work on. So 1 means you strongly disagree with the statement, and 5 means you are strongly in agreement with the statement. So just take a few moments to look at them. I'll read them out, perhaps if somebody there is not able to be on video at the moment. So tired most of the time on a scale of 1 to 5, where are you? Do you feel that your weight could do some attention? Have you got difficulty sleeping? How are you feeling in terms of your mood? Are you feeling low or maybe depressed? Is there something going on with your hormones? So you've been noticing some hormonal symptoms. Or is it memory or concentration that's giving you some concerns? Is there a very dry skin that is in need of more moisturizing, sorry. So we're looking at scales of 1 to 5, 1 being I strongly disagree and 5 being I agree. That statement is very true for me. Do you often feel anxious or stressed? Perhaps there's a problem with indigestion or bloating when you've eaten. And perhaps there's a little problem going every day to the loo. So if you've got your numbers down, just add them up and see where you are. And if you want to share, then please, you can put that in the chat as well. Now, another thing that we can look at as well when we're evaluating our own self-care is, how am I rating my energy levels right now? Because often you're going to need a lot of energy to doing what you're doing. And for all of us, to show up on a daily basis, we need to keep our energy nice and balanced. So this little test as well can often give us clues as to what's going on and where we might like to give some attention. So it's the same kind of thing, 1 being you strongly disagree and 5 being you strongly agree. So I often feel too tired to exercise. I often overreact to stress. I have less energy than I used to. I'm still feeling really tired 20 minutes after I get up. I actually need a coffee, a cup of tea, maybe a cigarette or something to get me going in the morning, something very sweet. I often crave chocolate, sweet foods, bread, cereals, or pasta. I often have energy slumps during the day or after meals, especially perhaps in the afternoon. And I often crave something sweet after a meal. I often have mood swings or I have difficulty in concentrating. And I get dizzy or irritable if I go 4 to 6 hours without food. I'm actually gaining weight and finding it harder to lose weight. So again, we're looking for a score of 14 or less. So how did we do with that? Anybody wanting to have a quick look in the chat? Okay, gratitude, lovely. So we've got some things there, some numbers. Rivera, nice to see you here. Thank you for sharing that number. So this is a great exercise as well to get you to really sort of identify perhaps where is the one area that in my life where I may be needing a bit of TLC, as we say. So that's just a little something there for you to do. And what's really lovely as well is to do this in a couple of months' time. If you decide after today that there are areas that you want to work on and you put some actions in place, you can come back to this and have a look at it and check your score and see if you've been able to shift that and change it. So as I say, the ideal score that we're aiming for is a score of 14 on each one, not combined. I wouldn't put that much pressure on you. Okay, so hopefully you found that of use, and I think it's time to move on. So Jean-Guy, over to you.
Thank you so very much, Julie, for leading us into this state of modified being, of being more aware of our surroundings, ourselves, and how we can really flourish in the sometimes complicated world where we live in. Again, so grateful for Shayna, for Rivera, for the whole team of Pace Bene, for giving us an opportunity to meet you and to support you along your journey, because you are truly embodying freedom, democracy, your First Amendment right, standing up and walking for what is right, for what is decent, for what is equitable. So well done for that. World Wellness Weekend is a project that I launched in 2017 because in 2015, I was really impressed by a standing ovation at the United Nations when 196 representatives of countries stood up and clapped and got into each other's arms saying, Yes, let's vote for an agenda for 2030 for a world more sustainable, more equitable, and they voted for 17 sustainable development goals. I will not go through the whole 17, and the 17th being partnerships, collaboration, like we have now with Pace Bene and the non-violence campaign. But the first one is really the end of poverty, encouraging everyone to pay a decent wage of at least $1.50 per day, if you can imagine. The second is at least one meal a day, because not everyone is having a meal a day. And the third one, and I'll stop there, is good health and well-being for all. And I was really enthusiastic about this, good health and well-being for all, because being part of the tourism, hospitality, spa, wellness ecosystem, I was seeing a fantastic opportunity for professionals around the world to contribute to good health and well-being for all. 2 years later, in 2017, when I was traveling, training, learning, attending conferences, organizing conferences, I was asking people, how do you relate to the SDGs and the Sustainable Development Goals? And they said, the what? Well, the third one, good health and well-being for all. And everyone was telling me, but that's for doctors and nurses, right? That's for vaccines for kids. That's for maternity. And I was telling them, no, it's really about five pillars of wellness that I'm going to describe in a second. So when I saw that there was really a gap to be filled and for someone to step in and to support the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, with three other letters, FUN, fun, to throw a party, to encourage people to be well, not because they have to, because of death, because of sickness, because of chronic diseases that are claiming the lives of 15 million people every year. And I've lost too many friends to cancer and other related diseases. It's really about throwing a party and encouraging people from sunrise in Fiji on Friday, 19th of September, to sunset in Hawaii on Sunday, 21st of this year. It's always on the third weekend of September. We grew from 2 countries to 155 last year, from 160 venues participating in France and Belgium on year one to over 9,300 last year, and we are on our way to break another record with 10,000 venues participating. Anyone can participate. Anyone can join this celebration on the third weekend of September. Today, we celebrate the solstice, the longest day of the world. Or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it could be your shortest day. But for us in summer, it's the longest. And in 90 days exactly, we will be celebrating the equinox, the change of season. Wellness weekend is when we step in. So anyone, any person, any company, any freelancer, any institution, any city, government can participate and promote good health and well-being for all. Last year, we generated 39 million views with over 800 mentions on TV, radio, newspapers, web, 16,000 posts. I'd like to say, who cares about numbers when actually elected officials like numbers, and when they see a success story, they want to join. So hopefully, in partnership with the Nonviolence campaign, end of September, early October, and World Wellness Weekend, we will reach out to elected officials and we will make a case, a social case for good health and well-being for all. There is a video that I would like to show you quickly. So Julie, if you can click on the video to show you what happens when we start a party around the world. And it's not working, but it doesn't matter. We will move on, and you will be able to enjoy.
Can you not see it?
It's okay. It's okay. You will be able to see it when you receive the presentation from Shayna and the team. It's only 59 seconds. Some people say it's better than coffee. It's really a rush of endorphins, oxytocin, and well, here we go then. the video moving or just the audio? It's okay. If you want to stop it, it's okay. We can skip to the next slide.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. You know, Zoom is usually taking a lot of bandwidth. So embedded music and videos, it's always hard. But let's keep it to the next slide where we can talk about the 5 pillars of wellness and the 5 ways you can make a difference in your life and sustain your own energy. If you remember, and I guess you do, 5 years ago, we were all asked politely or not so politely to stay at home, to stay distant. We had to go through COVID, a pandemic. I still believe we are still going through different pandemics. One about sleep, uh, poor sleep that is affecting 60 World Health Organization. More than 30% of people are suffering from insomnia. There is a nutrition epidemic, also a pandemic, with 39% of the world population being overweight and 13% being obese, except in the US, where 30% of the population in America is already obese. And these numbers are also very striking for kids 5 years and up, leading to situations with type 2 diabetes. There is also an inactivity pandemic when Europeans were asked by the European Commission if they were having any physical activity. In 2012, I believe they answered 42%, nope, zero activity. And 3 years later, they were 46% saying, nope, silch, absolutely, nada, still no. Sitting is the new smoking. It's really a problem. So movement is definitely something we focus on. Mindfulness, we really need to be more resilient. We really need to find a way to catch our breath when there are so many distractions in the world, in the news, on social media, information, misinformation, disinformation. We even call it infobesity. When there is even too much, it's obesity of information, infobesity. So mindfulness is really, really important. Purpose and solidarity. So we focus on 5 pillars, really, to say you will have so much more creativity after a good night's sleep. And there's so much you can do. And some tips that we are going to share about this. Nutrition, it's not just about what you decide to put in your body to maybe lose weight, get into this bathing suit because it's soon going to be summer beaches and you want to get into this beach bod. It's you have the body you have, but think please about your brain and what you feed your brain, how you feed your mood, and how you sustain your immune system. Movement. It's not just getting ready for the Olympics. Paris is done. Los Angeles is still in 4 years. It's 3 years, actually, 3 years already. It's really about vitality and being young at heart and independent physically to move, to dance until very late in age, adding, you know, life to your years and not just years to your life. Mindfulness and serenity, because I said it's really about resilience and moving forward and having a support system that you can lean into. And purpose and solidarity, because there is definitely something bigger than us and we can really connect. And when we smile, we all smile in the same language. Julie, next slide. I'm not going to read this slide because A, you can read it when you receive it at home. I'm conscious of time. I'd like to have also some questions from all of you once we go through these presentations, things that really catch your attention. But there are just a few things, maybe two, that I would like to draw your attention on because, of course, you know that if you read a book instead of binging on a Netflix series at night, you have better chances to fall asleep and to stay asleep long. If you hydrate yourself during the day, not too close to going to bed, there's a big chance you will not have to get up in the middle of the night. And I am here, a 50-plus-year-old man, telling you, yes, it is such a thing to wake up in the middle of the night and try to fall asleep again. And yes, of course, stay away from tablets. But two things really that I'd like to catch your attention about why it is so important to get those good habits in place for you to reclaim your sleep, to have a truly sleep that is nourishing you from the inside. It's about your brain. You may know about your lymph system, your lymphatic nodes that are helping you to flush toxins out of your body when the toxins, the metabolites, are too big to get into the blood system. So the lymphatic system, quite slow, is helping you do that. In your brain, in your skull, you have a glymphatic system, glymphatic, and this is helping you flush the toxins in your brain during the night, especially during the deep phase of the sleep. So if sometimes in the morning you're a little foggy, not so sure, and you think, okay, but first coffee, it's because you didn't flush your glymphatic system. So make yourself a promise to one day reconnect with yourself, with your beautiful physiology, and discover your glymphatic system and enjoy a morning when you wake up fresh and cool and you say, I got this. I want more of this. The second thing is the fact that sleep loss can very disrupt the hunger hormones and can lead to weight gain. You may be exercising, you may be taking a good look at your diet. Julie knows this better than I do, being a nutritionist. But if you do not get enough sleep, then unfortunately you will increase the amount of ghrelin hormones that you have in your body that are making you feel hungry. And you will decrease the leptin, which is signaling that you are full. So the sleep loss is disrupting all this and making you feel cravings maybe in the middle of the night or throughout the day, because you still have to catch up on your sleep, and not making you feel that you've had enough, so having you more and more. So it's gaining and inducing a weight gain, when actually with a good night's sleep you would be better. So many more things that we could talk about sleep, but let's move to the second one, nutrition. Julie?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can hear me. Okay, good. Right. So as a nutritional therapist, I could share many things to you about how it's important to get a healthful diet going. But I think this time I really want to focus again, like Jean-Guy said, on one particular area, and that is all about your wonderful big brains and why it's such an important to have what we call a nutrient dense diet as opposed to a calorie rich diet, because we need to look at the quality of what we're eating, because it has so many important functions for everything in our body, but specifically when we're talking about our brain. Because actually, when you look at how the brain is composed, actually 60% of the dry weight of it is actually fats. And back in the 1980s, fat was being demonized by so many different gurus out there. And actually, we need fat to be able to keep our brains healthy. And also, it's really important to support our neurotransmitters. So, nutrients like omega-3s are your brain's favorite essential fatty acid. And omega-3s are the kinds of fats that we get in what we call a body-ready form when we eat things like salmon or trout or any of those really oily fish. Now, if you don't like fish, then we can look at more plant-based solutions, but your body has to actually transform them. So sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge. So I say, if you don't like fish and some things you find really hard to eat, then you could look at a supplement, but obviously I would do that in consultation with somebody. So having those really lovely omega-3s from either the fish sources or things like walnuts and chia seeds are essential to keep your brain firing and get those neurotransmitters going. We also need B vitamins as well, which are very important. And the B vitamins, they come in a variety of different foods. But if you like things like beans and kidney beans and things like that, that's a great source of them. we are basically looking to try and build the building blocks to make the neurotransmitters, because they're going to be really helpful as well in keeping our mood nice and balanced, and keeping our focus as well, and helping us to deal with our stress responses. Another thing that's really important for our brains that we can get through our food is to help to reduce down inflammation, or what we call oxidative stress. So I say oxidative stress is like rusting. So we don't want our brains to go rusty. And imagine if you cut an apple, it goes brown, that's oxidation. So diets that are really rich in foods that are called antioxidants are really important. And in that, you know, again, I would be looking at making your a plate as colorful as possible. And I don't mean M&Ms. I'm talking about lovely fruits and vegetables. So we talk about a plate looking like a rainbow, if it can be, because those will really build up and create a great stock in our bodies of antioxidants. And even if you haven't got access to fresh fruit and veg on a regular basis, there's no harm in looking at frozen as well. And we love all the different things like the berries as well, like cherries and strawberries and blueberries. Blueberries are great for the brain. Another really key important factor when you're looking at nutrition is to make sure we keep something called our blood sugar balanced, because this is really going to help us as well create that nice stable energy throughout the day, and also stops us being what we call hangry, which I call it's a mixture of being hungry and angry. So being able to keep our blood sugar balance nice and even by making sure that we're not having the foods that are going to really spike it up. And those will be the things like the sugars, the sugary cakes and sweeties that are given to give us that instant hit of energy, but it's not necessarily going to give us a sustained amount of energy. And that will be, you know, making sure that we keep our blood sugar balance. You should be looking at having some kind of protein with every single meal that you have. And again, one last thing I think it's important when we're talking about our brain is inflammation. We know about all these neurodegenerative diseases that are having the link now to inflammation. So again, all those beautiful fruits and vegetables that I mentioned are also great at having an anti-inflammatory action, as too is the omega-3. So another great case for eating fish. And I could, as I say, go on and on and on, but I think at this particular point in time, it's really important to say, right, if you look at your diet, I know inside, you know, perhaps what it is that you could be making some changes on. And there's plenty of information out there on how to make changes. But the key thing is always, is why have I not made the change? And so that I'd like to delve a little bit deeper with you later. So over to you, Jean-Guy, for the next one, which is all about movement and vitality.
And the segue is inflammation and aging. In so many reasons of inflammation in our cells, in our body, movement is great anti-inflammatory, and muscle mass is a great biohack for aging. So I'm not going to read that slide. You can read it at home. You can take a look. But I would really like to catch your attention or draw your attention on hopefully your next BFF, your next best friends forever and for life. It's the BDNF production, the brain-derived neurotropic factor, which is a fertilizer for the brain. It will help you grow neurons by exercising. Yes, you will not just grow this. No, I need to stop showing my arms. I really need to practice them more. But you can not just practice your muscle cells, but also your brain cells. And it will also strengthen and grow inside the hippocampus. Julie told you about, if you look at the way the brain is structured, well, the brain usually looks like this. And if you open your arm, this is where the hippocampus is. And this is helping with learning and having your memories in the right order, and especially which memories are connected to which, and having a clear way to access them. So I will not go too much in detail, but walking 150 minutes per week is ideal to start with. Of course, if you can have your hour a day, if you can have your your 10,000 steps or 8,000 steps. Some doctors even advocate for 5,000 steps. If you can stop one bus stop before your actual stop and continue to walk the rest, if you can sometimes take the staircases instead of the elevator, if you just not even have to run or walk, but if you take dancing classes, it's great for rhythm and the brain. It's great for balance and the fact that if one day you're pushed or lose your balance, you will catch yourself better than if you're too stiff. And it's great for social company. And by demonstrating, there are so many steps you're taking out there and steps in the right direction. You want to go to the next slide, Julie?
Yes, that takes us on to mindfulness and serenity. And here, I think as well, there are so many different ways that we can interpret what does mindfulness mean to me? How can I take a moment for myself in my day? Whether it's waking up in the morning and having a gratitude practice, perhaps it's taking 5 minutes in the morning to run through some affirmations. Everybody can create for themselves a mindfulness practice that feels genuine for them. And I truly believe that when we do this, we do actually change the brain. We can physically change its structure. It really also helps with memory and learning. And studies have also shown that even a brief moment of mindfulness training can really decrease our what we call unconscious biases, which I think in the work that you're doing is really important. So if you have an opportunity also to teach that as well to the people that you are working with, how to create a check-in moment with themselves. You know, we're doing a go out there and we start our days and we we're doing our activities, just checking in and saying, what is it that I need right now in terms of that moment of just being with ourselves, really helping ourselves to find a little moment of calm that sometimes can be there in the storm. And whether that could be looking at a beautiful picture, going out into nature, or even just looking at a plant, sometimes that can really help. Even the color green can help. So there are so many different possibilities here. And I think that people tend to have a strange idea that maybe this is like, I've got to sit there, I've got to meditate for hours and hours and hours to be able to find that sense of peace. But when we tap into ourselves and we look within us, there will be something that gives us energy, something that we are drawn to that gives us that sense of, yes, that's what I need right now. That's where I need to go. Whether it could also be a play being by river. So practicing mindfulness can be done solo, but you can also encourage it in teams as well. And that can, as I say, can rapidly change the way that we behave. And it will certainly be very healthy for our brain. So Jongi, back to you.
I'm conscious of time and we have 13 more minutes and I'd love to hear from all of you also. So I'm going to go straight to the center of the bullseye of this one with purpose and solidarity. And I think the bullseye and the center of the target is the ikigai, the reason why you believe you can make a difference. There's a famous quote, and I forgot, but maybe Julie and Shayna, you'll help me with this. Um, the author of Tom Sawyer, Mark Twain. Thank you so much.
Mark Twain, yes.
Buzzer, Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, "The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you understand why." Having a sense of purpose, and for me, I wouldn't say it's easy or easier than others. I'm born in Sagittarius, ascendant in Leo, fire. If not make it big, why make it at all? So there is science behind having a sense of purpose, and I believe if you're here and if you're demonstrating and if you're encouraging also people to be on the streets in a non-violent way and to stand for grand ideas, because we can wake up with an alarm clock or we can wake up with a calling. And the people waking up with a calling have 15% less to die over a 5 period of year. according to a university study, better mental health, less levels of depression, anxiety, loneliness, because you know you have something that is pulling you forward. It's like having a sail in front of you and feeling the wind having your back and in your back. So definitely something that you are, I know, connected with, and that we will go much deeper in on July 26th. Yes, spoiler alert. Our next session with Pache Bene is going to be on July 26th with Heidi Solba, the founder of the World Cleanup Day and Let's Do It World Foundation. So, of course, if you have more questions about these pillars, we'll be more than happy to answer through them. But you have the slide and there's already a lot of information. Julie, would you like to go through the final slides and then we can have Q&A?
Yes, yes, of course. So what I'd love to do now is just take ask you to take a little moment to reflect on the following. And the following questions are all about top values, because as Jean-Guy said, when we have purpose, it's driver. But the same thing as well is when we have values in our lives, we can often link the changes that we want to make to our health and well-being to some of our core values. So I have a question for you. What does well-being mean to you? If you really think about that now, if you've got a piece of paper there, just jot it down. And even if you want more time for this, just jot the question down. And then perhaps after this webinar, you can have a think about it, because it means different things to different people. So just spend a little moment there thinking to yourself, what does well-being mean to me? And then think about what are the top 3 values that come to mind when you think about your health and happiness. And then why are these values important? So we spend a lot of our mental and emotional energy protecting and maintaining and living our values. And they're really important to us, and whether we're conscious of them or not. And what we value, we prioritize. And that means other things tend to take a back seat. And what we prioritize is also what we spend our time and money and energy on. And eventually that can really shape our lives. So, you know, it's really important in that step on the road to well-being to make sure that your goals are aligned with your core values. And I've just noticed that I have created a very silly thing there with my screen. It's gone very huge again. Not my day-to-day, is it, the tech? So if you have those values and you want to work through them, just see if you can relate them back to as well something that you want to achieve. So family is a really important value to you, but unfortunately your family is against you changing. You know, how is that going to affect the success of your changing when you make a goal? So it's trying to, how can you link your values to your health goals? So I think that's about where I wanted to end there, Jean-Guy. So if anybody has any questions.
I hope, Shayna, you'll appreciate that we are 8 minutes early, when most of the time when we have Zoom calls with the ambassadors around the world, a 1-hour meeting has lasted 2 hours and 45 minutes with the ambassadors in Latin America. For once, we're on time.
No, we
Back to you,
love it.
Shayna.
Thank you. Thank you. No, this was wonderful. A lot of great information. And I do want to open the floor for a couple of minutes. If anyone has a question, feel free to either come off mute. I don't think it's not too many of us here, so I don't think we'll be over talking each other. Or feel free to raise your hand. There's a heart at the bottom of your screen that says react. If you click on that, you could just press the raise hand button. So we'll take a moment to see if anyone has any questions for Julie or Jean-Guy before.
I can jump in, and hopefully someone else will feel brave enough to ask a question. So obviously people are stressed out right now. The world is stressful, and as people who care very deeply about the social issues of our time, and what are some of the go-to, like 3 practices that people could maybe consider adding into their day-to-day life? I like what you said in the chat box, Jean-Guy, about, you know, aim for wellness, not to get stressed and adding more wellness in your life. Are there a couple specific practices that you might recommend for activists and people who are engaged with the world?
Before I answer, I'd like to give the mic to Julie, who I think has an announcement to make about 3 lucky people who will delve into this, because we only have 7 minutes now, but
Yes.
there's a lot
Okay.
more. And then maybe I'll add one more touch of wisdom.
Mhm. So
Go ahead,
as I
Julie.
said earlier, there's not enough, there's so much information about that, what we can do, but often what we need is the implementation of it. It's understanding what it is inside us that we need to do. So I'm offering 3 people the opportunity to have with me a free coaching session to start to unpick what of those wellness needs and how you can start to build your road to wellness. So within that, there will be obviously, my key thing will always be movement, mindfulness, and making sure that you are feeding yourself nutritious foods. They'll be my 3 top things that I would love to work on.
And Rivera, and thank you, Julie, for doing that. I think it's very generous of you, of your time, and of your insights. A few things that I'd like to say, Rivera, about this. We live very different lives, all of us, but true, we can be thrown into so much that our heads can spin. 2 things that I would like to advise. One, always get back to your breath. Breathe through the belly, center yourself, and do not, if you really need all your attention, breathe, dig deep, recharge, and then respond. I've read so many books, I've traveled so much around the world, and I've always asked the question, what is the secret to happiness? And one day, someone told me, you know, Jean-Guy, the secret of happiness is the nanosecond between what is happening to you and how you want to respond to what's happening right now. Because that split second could be the difference between you getting out of trouble or you charging into trouble, and maybe saying something you will regret, acting with something you may regret, misjudging, misreading, because you may have not enough slept enough, maybe because you're angry, and I say it very well being French and having an English problem with the accent, hungry and angry in the same time, not moving and exercising enough. Sometimes we can be triggered by things, and if we are resilient, if we center, and if we breathe, and if we think before we act, and it can take a nanosecond, I think that can be useful. I'm also conscious of time. Maybe we have one last second, but I'd like to quote someone who had a big influence on my daughters. Less on me, because I didn't read all the books, but when I saw the movie and I heard Dumbledore speak to Harry Potter, and I would like to quote Dumbledore. You don't get Dumbledore to be quoted that often in Zoom meetings, but on this occasion I will. Dumbledore, when he met with Harry and he passed on to the other side, and he warned Harry and he said, Harry, you will be tempted in many ways. You will have to make choices. Always choose between what is right and what is easy. Not what is right and what is wrong, because who can tell what is right and what is wrong? When you're on both sides of a street with both placards and signboards that say things that matter to each side, who's right, who's wrong? You know you're right, and the other guys on the other side also think they're right. What is right and what is easy is what we need to decipher. And modern day society is making so many poor choices so easy. That's my answer. I hope it's satisfactory, Rivera. We have 1 or 2 more questions,
Yeah, I
maybe.
think your answer was wonderful. What I will say is if anyone has to log off at 1 o'clock, feel free to do so. You will get a recording of this session, so don't worry about missing out on anything. But we will take maybe 1 or 2 more questions if anyone has something they want to ask. And if not, I can go ahead and close this out.
Esther from the Netherlands, is there something you would like to tell us? I'm sorry to pick on you, but we're on the same time zone.
No, I was curious what this meeting would be, and I'm surprised, and it was a very interesting meeting, so the information was very welcome.
Excellent, thank you. Lee, I
you.
remember you were the first one to connect. Is there something you would like to tell us?
Let's see. I came on today really interested in considering what I might bring to these pillars, what the work I do, where the work I do might plug in and be supportive, and also to learn anything new. And so I'm thinking about nonviolent communication, which is my thing, and thinking how it fits with purpose and solidarity. And so I'm really enjoying just chewing on that and would like to continue.
You know, it reminds me of maybe it was a bumper sticker or maybe it was a sign I saw on the street. Change your words and it will change your world. There are so many ways with a negative bias, with preconceived ideas, with not necessarily listening, actually proactively listening to someone who is speaking with us or at us, because some people are already trying to think of the answer they're going to give. So they're not listening to the full explanation. They're already getting to the conclusion and trying to figure out what's going to be. But a non-violent communication is so precious at home, with teenagers, at school, with teachers and students, on the workplace. Um, I will not get into the details, but we have a very dear friend. He's 19. He's doing an internship in a one-star restaurant in France, and his mother had to call the school and pull him out of the internship because the chef, who's just brilliant, is just abusive with everyone. And people want to join the restaurant for the food and what they can learn, and they leave or they quit. So non-violent communication, absolutely key. Thank you for mentioning it, Lee. Keep at it. Spread the word.
I'll do my best.
Change the world for this generation and the next.
Indeed. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, we're at a minute past, so I'll give a quick closing. And first of all, yes, thank you, Jean-Guy and Julie, for sharing your insight and just grounding us with the power of wellness with purpose. And thank you to each of you who showed up today, not just for this conversation, but for yourself. So I'll clap it up for y'all. As we move forward, we do want to encourage you and invite you to take what you've learned today and bring it into action by signing up for Campaign Nonviolence Action Days, happening from the 21st to September 21st to October 2nd. This year, we're inviting people everywhere to take action in one or more of the 4 core calls: nonviolence towards self, others, the world, and the environment. Whether it's hosting a wellness event, organizing a training, planting a community garden, or simply encouraging reflection and rest, there's a place for your gifts, your voice, and your commitment. And of course, you can learn more at the link that I'm putting in the chat now. These links will also be in your follow-up email that we're going to send out. And the last thing I want to note is this session is part of a series of Action Days trainings that we offer for free to keep them accessible to everyone, even though it does take resources to make them happen. So if you'd like to support this work for nonviolence, you're welcome to donate any amount to the link that I'm also sharing as well. And this will also be in your follow-up email too. So again, thank you for being part of today's gathering. You all are wonderful. If you have any questions as well, you can also email us, reply to the follow-up email that we send out. And I think that is all we have for today. Remember to rest and just be mindful as you go throughout your day. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank you.
so very
Thank you
much,
so much.
all of you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye and God bless.